Welcome to Comedy by Indie Drop-In. Each week we feature an episode from the best independent creators. Hit the subscribe button for more great comedy content. If you would like to help support Indie Drop-In, check out our Patreon. Go to patreon.com/Indie Drop-In or click the link in the bottom of the show notes. Today's episode is from Faking Star Wars Radio. Don't forget to check out the show notes for links to subscribe to Faking Star Wars Radio and follow on social media. Enjoy the show.
Begin.
But with the blast shield down, I can't even see. How am I supposed to fight? Your eyes can deceive you. Don't trust them. Stretch out with your feelings. You see? You can do it. You can do Faking Star Wars Radio. That's right. It's another great interview episode of Faking Star Wars Radio, the official podcast of FakingStarWars.net. And I'm here with the vivacious, the lovely, the elegant, and the incarnation today I'm seeing before me looks like it's from, I'm not going to say Game of Thrones. You'll have to give me a little help on that.
Oh, let me give you a little help on that.
There we go. Yes, from the Mandalorian itself, we have the blacksmith lady, I guess, as you call it, or what do you call it? The armoress, I guess.
The armorer, yeah.
Yes. This is actually one of my favorite new characters in the Mandalorian, so I'm really happy that you decided to give us a glimpse into that costume. But I'm here with the lovely Evie. We call you Evie, right? Mm-hmm. Now, is that a Pokemon reference, or is that a reference to something else?
So it's a reference to something else. I had originally thought that it'd be cool to make my name Ev Cosplay. That was already taken, so I just shortened it a little bit. Cool. It's pretty easy to go by. So
nice.
Doesn't really have a fun story.
Oh, that's okay. My name I found in a fortune cookie, so that's where I got Duper from anyway. So
that's a good fortune cookie.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. So. Well, we're just curious, Evie, how did you get connected with Faking Star Wars? Because generally, very attractive females run in terror at the very mention of our name. So,
so I was participating in the Plaid FX cosplay contest they had a couple weeks back, and with my armor cosplay, and I got your Instagram account followed me and liked a bunch of my photos, so I checked them out and I was like, oh, cool. That seems kind of fun.
We have an armada of people working for the website who are constantly scouring the internet for, a
wretched hive of scum and villainy?
Yes, scum and villainy who we might be able to bring into our foray here and enlarge our network. So if you haven't yet, you may get on our Discord, and that's really where things hit rock bottom. And, you'll enjoy interacting with a lot of our fans on the Discord channel. In any case, how did you get your start as a cosplayer? You obviously have sunk a lot of time and money into this, so where did this begin?
I've kind of always liked making costumes. I, made some when I was in high school, did some Halloween costumes when I was in college, and thought that was really cool. Kept seeing cosplay on Reddit and on the internet, and just kept thinking, man, that is such a cool thing to do. But I'd never gone to a convention or anything, and I'd never really done it. And then one of my friends, I think it was 2018, invited me to go to C2E2 with her. And I had gone to the Renaissance Fair and dressed up to go to the Renaissance Fair, and I had made a dress for that. I actually made Sophia Sartor from Assassin's Creed. Mm-hmm. So it was a specific character, but it was a Renaissance gown. So I made it for the Renaissance Fair. And I was like, well, I'm just going to wear it to C2E2 because I have it. And so we went, my husband and I went on Saturday, 2018, and it was so cool. I just took pictures of people all day, and 2 people took my picture, and I was just like, oh, this is so cool. Didn't really do that much with it for a little while. I made a couple more costumes. I made Yennefer and wore her to the Renaissance Fair. And then beginning of 2019, I made that my New Year's resolution to start a cosplay Instagram. And at the time I had 2 costumes, and I had a sewing machine, and I had no idea what I'm doing. I still don't really have any idea what I'm doing, but I have a lot more tools now, and I have more experience, and so I figured out some stuff that kind of works.
From some of the other cosplayers I've talked to, Halloween has been a big intro, kind of has helped in getting the on-ramp, but you're the first one who has had experience with Renaissance fairs, which is kind of a different level of nerddom, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, we make jokes about ourselves having pizza crust in our neckbeards, but over there, I mean, it's just on a galactic level, right? I mean,
turkey leg on a stick level.
Yes. So I'm excited to talk to you about that experience a little bit. I mean, did you already have interest in that sort of historical background? I noticed on your Instagram you have a lot of costumes that seem to have that Renaissance fair influence.
So I do like historical fashion. I think that's a kind of really cool, random back alley. I could probably talk about that for an hour, but I don't think that's your level of nerddom. That's not. It's kind of niche a little bit.
Well, we're pan-sartorial here on the podcast. We don't discriminate to different kinds of wardrobe choices. We believe all wardrobes are created equal. All wardrobes matter. So.
So actually, the first time I went to the Renaissance fair, a coworker was like, hey, we should go, I'm going to take you and I'm going to show you around and everything. And she actually like dressed me up for it. So like I literally went over to her house one afternoon and she was just like pulling stuff out of closets being like, you should wear this or you should wear this. And the Renaissance fair is definitely like my happy place. I was very sad because the Bristol Renaissance fair up in Wisconsin got canceled completely this year.
Right.
Appropriately so. But I've gone to that past 3 years and really, really loved it.
Everybody could have gone and cosplayed as like the Grim Reaper, I suppose. That would have been apropos.
Plague mask. I was thinking plague doctor masks.
Right.
Very
the plague doctor.
Apropos as well. Yeah. I love what they've done too, because they started having they have RenCon now. So they've had that the past 2 years where they try to get all the cosplayers out there. So I get to see some of my cosplay friends from around the area all come up. Actually participated in their costume contest last year as Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn, and I got third. And I was very excited because that was like my first cosplay win, or like, hey, I don't suck at this.
Oh yes, that's wonderful that in just 2 years you've sort of been launched into already winning awards for this. You may have a natural knack for this sort of thing. And I guess you did say you like sewing, and I noticed on your Etsy account, I will let you plug that.
You did your research.
You've been crocheting, I guess, some stuff from different properties. So that, how does that play into your cosplay? I mean, are these separate, or are these two different hobbies start to merge for you?
Oh, okay. So on my Etsy store, I have some embroidery patches from Horizon Zero Dawn, and then some just other embroidery patches that I've made. One of my more prominent signs of nerddom that I display, I'm making a patch jacket. So it's just like a big green army jacket, and on the back I have all these patches, and my goal is to have one for each cosplay that I do. Because I think that's kind of fun. But I realized you can't just go and buy a Horizon Zero Dawn patch because it doesn't exist. So I started making some, and the embroidery, I bought an embroidery machine. Actually, my husband bought me an embroidery machine for my birthday last year. And so I was able to start making my own designs, which has been really cool because I definitely could not make those by hand. And I've been able to also incorporate those embroidery bits into a whole bunch of different costumes, because that does add a nice like textile type effect to things.
It's kind of like different layering and different details, sort of, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's different layering. It has different detail. I was able to participate in the Crown Championships of Cosplay last year, which I thought was ridiculous. It was fantastic. Great experience. Everyone was really cool. But I was just more or less shocked that I got in, having like a year of cosplay experience. And I was just like, we're just going to go for it. So I made Evie Fry, and she has some lovely embroidery. Check that out on my Instagram if anyone's curious. But it was just so much that I had embroidery everywhere on that thing.
Wow. Well, as we find, a lot of people I've interviewed that are interested in sort of, making, right? I mean, I would say cosplay, prop making, all this sort of, there's just this sort of umbrella of creative people, right? And I would put myself in that department. I mean, I don't make anything physical, but I make auditory noise that people sometimes listen to. But as a maker who enjoys this kind of thing, how how would you rate it? I mean, some people seem to have like this really intense obsession with Star Wars, and then the making sort of serves Star Wars, whereas for other people it's the other way. You know, they just really enjoy the making, and the Star Wars kind of gets, you know, smuggled in like some you know, little CGI animated character that steps in the poodoo at the end. So for you, how do you balance those two interests? I mean, Star Wars, cosplay, which one comes first in your life? Which one do you bow down to and serve as master and lord?
So let's see. I got interested in Star Wars way before I was interested in cosplay. Started watching like Star Wars special editions when I was a kid, and then I've seen like all the Star Wars in the theaters. Of course, I have opinions about the recent trilogy, but we don't have to go into that.
Oh, we want to do that. We definitely want to do that. Our goal is to try to offend as many people as possible. So talking about the sequel trilogy, The Last Jedi in particular is one of our greatest joys.
What were they thinking?
Oh, so you're one of those, huh?
I had some really high hopes for it because I do very much love Star Wars. I was also kind of pissed off when they announced that the sequel trilogy was not going to be following like any of the books, because I was this gigantic nerd. I think it was middle school, and I started reading like all of the Star Wars books. Okay. And then they're just like, no, we're going to retcon that and just do something new that's not nearly as good. And I'm like, oh, you had so much.
It's interesting. You know, I was talking to Callum Johns from Australia the other day on the podcast, who's sort of an expert on the EU novelizations in general, and he had kind of a different opinion in a way. I mean, he didn't really want them to film the EU material because he felt like there was room for more stories. But I think a lot of people, you know, they just didn't like where the story went in terms of like not centering on Luke Skywalker and introducing other characters who were kind of flat. And so I can see like how it's really hard to please anyone, because on either side of it, I find that people are really upset. And I think that possibly it might just be that people are done with Star Wars. They need to have more beer and just try to have fun with it, you know? But it's interesting to see that, because I personally thought the sequel trilogy was what I was waiting for, because I'm a little older than you. You aged yourself out here, so now I'm gonna have to mansplain Star Wars to you. I hate doing this.
Do I get to interrupt?
Absolutely. But I guess, you know, as one who hated the prequel trilogy, you know, the sequel trilogy was a breath of fresh air, I guess.
I think we can all agree at least that some of the stuff in Attack of the Clones was extremely cringy.
Cringe is a good word for it.
Beautiful dresses. Every single one of Padme's dresses I love, and I'm considering making one of those at some point. Those are big undertakings.
Some of them even have electricity, right? And battery components, I suppose, like electric lights in them. And so... Oh, yeah. I mean, thinking about let's go through it then. The prequel trilogy. I mean, which costume would you choose to cosplay at your next event if you went to like Celebration or whatever?
So I am fond of two dresses. I'd probably go for Queen Amidala's parade dress at the end of episode 1, the big white one with the weird parasol thing.
Oh yeah.
I think that one's very fun. I could definitely make some kind of glowing plasma ball to hand around to people. That would also be fun. And then I think everyone just really likes Padme's lake dress that she wears in Attack of the Clones. It's the very flowy, rainbowy kind of one.
It's lovely. That kind of gold fabric, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
That's just kind of like a bucket list kind of thing.
Sure. I've never seen anyone, I don't think, cosplay the first one, so I'd be curious to see how that played out for you. How about the original trilogy?
Like a cosplay from that?
Yeah. Boba Fett? Maybe Jabba the Hutt? No?
I'll leave that one to you. So the question is have you done that? Have you dressed up as a convention and tried to find a slave Leia? Because that is a thing.
Right. Yeah, I'm sure it is. You know, I tend to avoid those big events because, as you know, I mean, as you can see wearing my helmet, people try to take my helmet off all the time because they know that when they take my helmet off, there's just another helmet underneath. And it just gets tiring from having people coming up to me all the time asking for my autograph, asking me to sign their baby's forehead. So I tend to avoid those events as a general rule because, you know, I'm getting older now and I just don't have the stamina for it, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, those 3-day cons get very exhausting.
Would you go as a slave Leia? I mean, that's very politically not popular right now to talk about slave Leia costumes, although I'm sure there are some people who would be overjoyed if you did do that, your husband probably included. What other costumes that are more politically correct, I guess, these days would you enjoy doing?
So from Star Wars, I do actually really love Zori Bliss from The Last Jedi. I thought hers was cool. I actually got her.
From the sequel trilogy. Oh, yeah.
So I do have my Zori Bliss Funko. She was I actually watched The Last Jedi before I saw The Mandalorian. I binge watched the entire Mandalorian with my husband and some of his friends New Year's Eve. And so I saw Zori Bliss and I'm like, man, she's cool. She's really, really cool. And then we watched The Mandalorian. I was like, okay, the armor is pretty sweet also. Definitely got to do her at some point. And then at C2E2 this year, my husband dressed up as the full Mandalorian. Like, he went full Beskar, and I helped him make all of that, and we did the props. I actually have his pulse rifle hanging out right here.
Oh, yeah. Hold that up for us. Let us see that weapon. How did you make that?
Oh, okay. So this is 3D printed. There were a whole bunch of individual pieces. It is exactly 69 inches long. There you go. I did measure it. It's taller than me. So we 3D printed it. It's attached with a couple of steel rods in the middle, and then I actually painted the entire thing. Obviously, you do like a base layer of spray paint, and then I did all of the details in some just acrylic paint from Cloud FX. And then if you want to be real fancy, we actually got a little EV props thing here. That's my husband's cosplay Insta account.
Oh, that is really sweet. Nice. So this kind of work that you're doing, I mean, this is more than just a casual weekend. I mean, this is an intense operation that you're running out of your garage, or where? I mean...
So the garage, the living room, mostly the garage and the living room, sometimes the kitchen. I just kind of take over everything. Some people are like, oh, I want to specifically be a character. And I think that's really fun. But I also just really like to make stuff. Even before I started making cosplay, I would just like paint random things or do random crafts or like try to sew something. But it was like really boring stuff, like I'm sewing a table runner or some curtains. Or like I made my Christmas decorations. But I think making something, like I made the armorer's apron.
So let's see there. So what's the armor the gold plate? What's that made out of?
Oh, so this is actually not a failed 3D print, but this is a 3D print that we made for my husband's Beskar. And we didn't like the finish on it because depending on how you print something, you have like little layer lines. And it ended up having like layer lines coming out from the center and then kind of going out because it was printed in 2 pieces, which just looked really weird and was going to take a long time to sand. So we ended up reprinting it and it turned out really good. So I literally took his piece of armor, flipped it upside down, heat formed it so it actually fit me. And then I covered it in Bondo and sanded that down to get a smooth surface. And then spray paint and then regular paint.
And then the bottom part of your costume looks more like fabric of some kind, like a plastic or leather.
So this is a vinyl pleather.
Vinyl
it's actually
pleather,
a couch upholstery type material. So it's not necessarily for garment wearing, but it's really thick. So it comes up it stays really nice. And if you're looking for some kind of more authentic looking like leather corsetry or something, thicker fabric's the way to go. So
that kind of evokes a little bit the feel of, say, the robe that Emperor Palpatine wears in The Rise of Skywalker, or in Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith. I think they actually had a sort of plasticky, vinyl, resiny, plastic pleather material that they used for that garment as well. So it seems like you're on the right track with this, experimenting and trying new things. So maybe you have a future career working for Lucasfilm under Kathleen Kennedy's watch.
I mean, that would be super cool. I obviously have the worry that I think a lot of people have of where if I made this into like an actual business, or it was my full-time job, that it wouldn't be fun anymore. I've done a couple of commissions for other people, and I'm always worried whenever I make something for myself, I'll be like, oh yeah, I can cut the corner there. No one's going to be able to tell, or attach stuff with safety pins. And so I always worry that if I'm doing it for someone else, that I put that level of perfectionism into it, and then it's a lot less fun.
Sure.
It's cosplay, not cost work.
Exactly. I hear that from a lot of people who try to walk that boundary. I think it must be hard even being in Lucasfilm now, because, I mean, a lot of those people did grow up with this as a hobby too, right? And it became something more. So that balance is really something you have to sort out and be one with the Force, I suppose. In the past couple of years, what was your favorite costume you did? Is it the armoress here before me, or are there another one that you are holding out on us to reveal later in the interview?
So my favorite one is Aloy from Horizon Zero Dawn.
Okay.
Have you played Horizon Zero Dawn?
Not yet. I'm kind of rotating back into gaming slowly. I as young I was into it a little bit, but in the last year or two I've got a Switch and I'm trying to learn the vocabulary a bit more. It's changed a lot, but I'm familiar with the title a little bit. But tell us more about it.
So in Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy, it's a post-apocalyptic future. Looks very different from your kind of typical zombie one because obviously what happened to change the Earth was different. Part of the great part of the story is that you get to figure out what happened before, so I'll try not to spoil it.
Okay.
But basically, you start and you're Aloy, you're an 18-year-old girl, and you're out there killing a bunch of machines because all of the wildlife has been replaced with animal reconstructions, for lack of a better word. And I played the entire game of Horizon Zero Dawn, and I really identified with her character. And that was just a cool costume to wear. So that was the one that I wore to the Renaissance Fair, and I placed third, and that was the first time I'd ever taken it out anywhere. And then, people recognized it, and we were like, there's a very special part in your life where you're walking around, and somebody comes up to you with a really bad fake Shakespearean accent and says, "Oh, Aloy, hast thou slain any mechs today?" And you're just like, I have no idea what to say.
Well, that could be complicated, especially for women as cosplayers. It's a brave new world now. You have all kinds of online stalkers, for lack of a better term. But if I'm not mistaken, that's kind of part of the fun a little bit, right? There's a bit of teasing that goes on with cosplay a little bit, right? Trying to walk that line of being titillating and interesting while also carrying it with dignity. I mean, is that a tension at all? Do you feel like sometimes you don't want to go too far, but you want to kind of have a little fun with people, I guess? I don't know. Talk about that.
Yeah. So that's definitely a struggle. So I see a lot of people that, famous female cosplayers, and it tends to be that they, you post a slightly skimpier picture and it does really, really well. As opposed to a build that you spend a long time on, and it's just kind of like crickets, it's middle of the road.
From what I don't know enough about it, but what it seems to me, at least in terms of what gets attention on Twitter, is less is more, So the less that you actually build into your costume and the more skin you show, the more interest it generates, but it's kind of the negative attention that you might not necessarily want at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a line that I am kind of walking a little bit. So I know my real life family follows my cosplay Instagram. I've got a couple of coworkers that do, some of my husband's coworkers do. So with all of that in mind, I do want to make sure that the stuff that I'm putting out there isn't too crazy. We're not going to be doing the Red Sonja cosplays or anything.
Right.
I don't know if I personally have the figure for the Slave Leia. There's a comfort level in the stuff I wear too.
Sure. In being a well-respected cosplayer, how has that affected sort of? I mean, you have a husband who you're obviously very devoted to. I mean, has there been instances where he had to sort of step in at a conference and say, "Hey, man, she looks like she's some fantasy creature from a video game, but she's my wife. Leave her alone." I mean, has that ever been an issue that you've had to deal with at all?
I've had honestly fairly few experiences with people being unusual, which I think is nice. I think one time I did have a guy that kept posting on my Instagram page whenever I would post a picture. He'd just be like, "I will see you at C2E2." And I just wouldn't comment on it because yeah, dude, I mean, I posted my lineup. I said, I'm going to be these characters on these days.
Right.
I'm going to be there. But it's a really big convention. There's 5,000, 10,000 people that go to that. And he kept being like, "I will see you there." And I'm like, I just kind of ignored him.
Major creep factor?
Dude actually found me.
Oh, okay. So
he was very polite in person.
Okay.
He asked for a photo, and he just kind of kept babbling a little bit. I felt like he was just nervous.
Right.
He complimented me on my Twitch streams, which I have not streamed on Twitch. So that was interesting. I've kind of considered it. I think that could be a cool thing to do. Maybe I could stream me making some stuff because I sometimes find it interesting to watch people do that.
Or a YouTube video of the making of the costume. Sure, that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. I did a practice time lapse on one of my builds, and that was kind of fun.
Okay.
But yeah. So and he was there, and after a minute of him talking to me, my husband was standing right up, literally 5 feet away, just and he was in his Mando costume. And And he was just so I couldn't see his face or anything, but
Right.
I told him about this guy in advance, and he was just kind of like, oh. But then I saw a couple of my friends like literally 5 feet away, and I was just like, oh, excuse me, my friends are right there.
Right,
and I ran over there, and these were people that I'd met in person before, and I just said, hey, this guy is being weird, can I hang out? And they're like, oh yes.
That's good.
And, like,
that kind of support seems to be really a very important constituent of the cosplay world. I've heard from other cosplayers who've had similar experiences with, shall we say, overzealous fans. And then when there is a strange dude with a a neck beard and pizza in their beard, it can be very uncomfortable. The smell can be just overwhelming. I was at a cosplay convention as myself playing Storm Duper, and a young cosplayer woman actually came up to me and accosted me and wanted to just pick me up like almost like a baby and get her picture with me, and I didn't know what to say. I was overwhelmed, so. But yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that for the most part it's been very positive and you haven't had any like major sketchy things. We here at Faking Star Wars, we actually employ Russian trolls in our basement that we unleash upon anybody who makes our guests feel uncomfortable. So you're in safe hands. Once you've enrolled in the Faking Star Wars community, we sort of have like a mafia vigilante justice system for anybody. So yeah, you're probably going to be very well protected in the future if you do become super famous or something. So
we'll see if that happens. I wouldn't bet on it. I don't know.
Yeah, give yourself a shot. Hope is believing. Try. Do or do not. There is no try, right?
That's true.
Well, what was so you had the best costumes. What about some of the worst attempts? Maybe when you're just starting out, or something that maybe was just more time than it was worth, or like the worst failure you can think of in this vein. Anything come to mind?
So honestly, I've been kind of amazed at how much I've learned and how quickly. I've looked at stuff that I wore to C2E2 2019, and I had put my heart and soul into those, having no experience, and just been like, yeah, I'm gonna go for it. And I did a Wonder Woman costume, and that was not fantastic because it was literally just a cheap leather corset one that I had bought from another cosplayer, and it didn't fit right, and I tried to modify it, but when I sat down, the boning would sift it. It looked really weird. Right. It was not very flattering. That wasn't great. I did Lilith from Borderlands 2 because I was super pumped because Borderlands 3 was supposed to be coming out, and I did a terrible job with that makeup. I think I looked like I was in drag. That was a thing that happened. I have not revisited Lilith since C2E2 2019, so I think that's probably not my favorite costumes. There's definitely some that are incredibly uncomfortable as well. I did a Dr. Ziegler's Mercy skin at C2E2, and it came out pretty nice. We made these amazing large wings. They had transparent stuff so you could see through them, and it came out really cool. But they were so uncomfortable to walk in. They were not light. So that was, and they were also really hard to maneuver in a crowd in because they stuck out behind me, but for 4 feet. And they would just flop every time I took a step. So that wasn't great. Right. But they look cool.
I've always fantasized about cosplaying as the Sarlacc pit, and having these 80-foot tentacles just going with me throughout the convention floor, tripping and tying up everybody for the entire day.
You can demand sacrifices.
Yes.
And also snacks. I mean, that's pretty good, right?
Absolutely.
You refer to yourself in the third person as the mighty Sarlacc.
The mighty Sarlacc, yes. I admire someone who's able to admit, sort of not their failings, but things that didn't go as well. That's something I struggle with. It's really hard for me to find anything I've ever done that hasn't been completely perfect. So it's refreshing to be, around somebody who's got that realistic view of themselves. So you keep mentioning this conference C2E2. I'm not really familiar with it. Tell us a little bit more about how you got involved with that particular con. What does it mean, C2E2?
So it's the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, and it just happened to have been the first convention that one of my coworkers was like, hey, you should come to this, we'll hang out. Fun fact, I never actually saw her that day. My husband and I got tickets to go, and because it was so large and she was participating in Critical Role's thing because they were there at that year, we never actually found her. On the convention floor. And so that was my first ever convention that I went to. And then the next year was my first ever convention that I went to as a quote unquote cosplayer. And I was able to get involved kind of almost randomly by happenstance, I got contacted by a guy named Eddie, who is one of the photographers around Chicago that has his own like after party. And he's kind of like the heart and soul of the Chicago cosplay community. He's awesome.
Oh, very
You can
good.
find him on Instagram at Eddie B Photos, I think.
Eddie B Photos, all right.
Yeah, and he randomly invited me to join in one of his meetups. So he does like group shoots. And so I participated in his Overwatch group shoot in 2018. And that was the first time I'd ever like hung out with other cosplayers and just been like, you guys are all really nice. And so that was really cool too. And then this year I was able to go, and because I'd been in the community a bit, I was able to like run into people that I knew, which was really cool. I actually did like a photo shoot at the con, which was really cool. I got to participate in the Crown Championship, and that was just like next level. So
that's amazing. So you know, it's kind of weird. I mean, starting out in just 2 years already kind of being having such a success ratio, you know, you kind of only have to go down from there in a way, right? I mean, it's
right. Have
it's
I already peaked? Was that it?
Well, I don't know. You've gone up so quickly. It's hard to see what the future will be. Would you consider going to like the San Diego Con or a Celebration or some of the really well-known global level cosplay conferences in the future? Is that something on your horizon?
That's something that I think could be really, really cool to do. One of the nice things about C2E2 is that it's local for me, so I can just, you know, drive like an hour, 45 minutes, and I'm there,
Sure.
Which is nice. Because obviously with any kind of larger costume, you have to like pack it, and then there'll be multiple bags to transport, but obviously you'd be willing to do that. I definitely do Star Wars Celebration. I think that'd be cool. They had it here in McCormick Place last year.
Yes,
and
we
I
were
think
there.
next time-
We recorded every day live from the convention floors.
Nice. Yeah, I had a bunch of friends that went, and because it was just like a month after C2E2 that year, I hadn't like planned or bought tickets or anything, and then I saw all my friends going to it, and I was like, man, that would have been so cool. But at the time, I didn't have a Star Wars cosplay either, so
Right.
I had to make one.
Well, when you
fun.
do, if you do get out there in the next couple of years, we would love to correspond. I mean, we try to get to all the cons with one of our correspondents at least, but we're all about having you know, the Faking Star Wars community well represented, because sometimes there's strength in numbers, and you know, people are so jealous of how awesome we are that if there's just one or two of us there, it can incite mob violence. But when you get to like 6 or 7 of us all kind of around, people tend to, you know, step back and just admire the wonderfulness that it is. So
They got the group thing going.
exactly, yeah. So, you know, once you're in, you're in. You do have to get a goober tattoo, you know, our little blue stick-figured red lightsaber guy at some point, but we don't ask where you have to do it. You know, you can do it anywhere. It can be as big or small as you want, and we don't ask for photographic proof. So, you know, it's kind of the honor system.
Well, there you go. In that case, I already have one.
Oh, great. Great. Excellent. Well, you know, thinking about the future of Star Wars, right? It's really up in the air right now. We don't know much about the new films. I am really hoping that the Armoress makes an appearance in Mandalorian Season 2. I think she was probably the best new character in Star Wars in the last 10 years. I just found her so compelling, and the performance was amazing as well. But aside from that, with the movies, you know, one thing that I did not like about the sequel trilogy, I didn't think that the costumes really told much of a story. You know, Snoke's robe was amazing, but to me it didn't say much about his character. I just found it to be very odd. It was an odd choice. There were some other interesting costumes, but by and large, I think that the costumes were very toned down, you know, very restrained. Do you see that in the future of Star Wars? Where would you like to see costumes headed here? I mean, we've heard rumors of the High Republic films coming out, which, you know, could be extravagant from some of the art that we've seen. But where would you take it if you had your say on it?
I definitely do gear more towards the High Republic type things. I do find all of the I guess the interesting contextual details I think could be really cool. One of the things that I think maybe you were kind of latching onto with the new trilogies, that because everything was like so desperate and so we're in a rebellion, we're in a backwater planet, that it's just kind of like anyone's wearing whatever's, you know, it's whatever's comfortable, whatever you've got around, which is definitely makes sense given the scenarios, but it doesn't tell that good story, you know?
It doesn't lend itself to really cosplaying either, when you can just get some old, you know, T-shirts or rags you've been using to you know, to oil up your 12 gauge shotgun and just throw it on and call it a Rose Tico costume, you know?
Yeah,
But so if you could design something, let's say for the future Star Wars films, what would it entail? Where would you head with it? What fabrics would you use? What sort of color scheme are you interested in? Describe it.
Okay, so if I had to do an original character, Star Wars character, which I guess is where I'm going to take this, my first thought is that she would definitely have pants. Because if she's going to be a Jedi, because obviously she would be, you would have to have some kind of pants so you can do really cool, awesome backflips. Probably I'd do some kind of long flowing like skirt panels as well, because anytime you're going to do anything, it looks really cool if you have like the capes or the flowing fabric-y bits. I think that's very fun. Probably more closely fitted on the top, probably not billowy sleeves because you have to be able to fight with them. Bluish gray, for some reason, is popping into my head. I don't know. Cool. And obviously you have to have a matching lightsaber.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you're ready to go. I mean, in the cosplay community, I mean, do people create their own characters as well? Is that something? I haven't heard as much about that.
Yeah, so I have seen people that do their own designs. Someone I know, her name's Jamie Koala, made her own original design Sith, and she had that at C2E2, which I thought was really, really cool. It looked very Sith-like and evil. I do see people doing like OC Jedis like a little bit, but it tends to be very like Star Wars prequel trilogy, just robes and a lightsaber, which is okay, but I don't feel like it's particularly creative either.
Yeah, it doesn't push the envelope, I guess, that much, does it? We saw an interesting costume of somebody I've had on the show before named C3PO, who's got an Instagram and a Twitter, and by her name you can imagine that she's something to look at. She's a model, and she's a nice cosplayer. She's very friendly, and she did a costume that was a mashup between Darth Vader and the who's the character from the Joker series, she's got the baseball bat and the
Harley Quinn?
Yeah, Harley Quinn. So she did a Harley Quinn Darth Vader like mashup costume. And so that was an interesting take, and I thought it kind of pushed things a little bit, the idea of a mashup costume. Have you done anything like that or seen anything at different conferences that was interesting in that kind of way? Like something that wasn't authentic, but a little bit funny or goofy or... Yeah,
so I did see someone that did a really good Jedi Megara from Hercules.
Okay.
So I thought that was really cool too. Huh. And I've got some friends that have done like makes pork onesies. Those look very comfortable, and I would kind of totally own one of those.
That'd be nice for a Saturday afternoon and COVID, I guess. COVID land.
Nice working from home outfit, I think.
Very cool.
So I've seen some fun stuff out there.
Fans on Twitter and Instagram, they're very very opinionated about the new properties. What would you say is your favorite Star Wars moment if you had to pick one out from wherever, any property? So Star Wars, the films, the cartoons, the holiday special, for example.
Yeah, I've never actually seen that.
Wow. Well, we would definitely have to make an appointment with you and live tweet that one, because that is gonna be a proverbial show.
I've heard it's so bad. That I don't really actually have any interest in watching it.
Yeah, it kind of comes back around, like a circle. It's so bad that it's amazing, I think.
Very specific mood for that one, then. Yeah. Is it like watching Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Because that's a very specific mood also.
It's just surreal. I mean, I think the fact that I was alive when it came out and now watching it again later, I mean, it's just hard to understand how the hell did this get made? It's just so bonkers. To imagine something like that coming out today is just so beyond anything you could imagine. It's fantastic. So, but... anyway, B. Arthur has a great appearance in it, though.
Oh, all right. Well, that'll be a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay, so favorite Star Wars moment.
Yeah.
This is like someone asking you, like, what your favorite flavor of cake is, and you just forget any kind of cake you've ever eaten.
I know. I like to do this to people, when they come in, I warm them up, make them feel like they're home, and then ask them a question that they won't be able to answer.
Well, I'll go pretty basic then. The first thing that popped into my head, because I'm wearing the armor costume, is when she basically like takes out an entire squadron of stormtroopers in the episode of The Mandalorian, because that's really awesome.
That is such a great scene. The choreography and just the tone of that scene, amazing. Have you watched any of the making of Mandalorian on Disney Plus that's come out in the last few weeks about the show?
So I watched the first 2 episodes of that. I haven't gotten I'm kind of slow about watching my shows usually.
Yeah, it's not like amazing. It's sort of self-congratulatory at times. Big surprise there, Disney Lucasfilm. But they take a page out of our own book, I guess, here at Faking Star Wars. But I just thought it was such a risk to tell what really amounts to a simple story. It's basically man finds baby, man loses baby, man gets baby back, and man tries to keep baby safe, and that's not the typical plot line you find for Star Wars, but I think because of that simplicity, it allowed for those really intense moments like the Armoress's combat scene. Do you think she'll be back in Mandalorian season 2?
I think so, yeah.
Where do you see her plotline going as a character? What would you like to see her do?
So I think that it's very interesting that they have her as the head of the tribe or the head of the clan. Typically, you see that as more of a patriarchal role than a matriarchal role. So I thought that was kind of fun. I do think she'll be back. In what role? I feel like she's going to come in at some point and just swoop in and save Mando and Baby Yoda.
Right.
Which I also have a theory that Baby Yoda is a girl. So we'll see about that.
Oh yeah, well we haven't seen his pee-pee yet, so and he might be trans anyway. He may be gender non-binary. So let's not be so quick to judge his gender or assign it. I don't think either. So
there, I was thinking I had a plot twist.
Yes, well you're right. They haven't gendered him yet, so this is going to be very exciting. Maybe Yoda's entire species is gender bimorphic. Maybe Yoda himself was able to change his gender like the snap of one of his little green fingers. He just didn't do it in any of the movies that we saw.
Maybe it takes energy.
Yeah, force energy, right? If he does it too many times, he just evaporates in a big puff of green smoke.
Hi, my name is Joe, and I'm a home decor overspender. Hi, Joe! I made a breakthrough. I found HomeSense. It's unreal. So many brand name sofas. I bought one.
Oh, wow, really?
It's okay. The prices, so low. Lighting, unexpected. Rugs, handcrafted. Wall art, eclectic. I go back every week. No, it's always different. New unique decor, same great savings. Every time you go.
Field trip!
HomeSense. Standout pieces, outstanding prices.
Emma, my back is killing me. Can you help?
Yep, been doing some research.
Great, it hurts right here.
You need lumbar support. Safa mattresses have advanced spinal zone technology.
I was hoping for a massage.
Safa is a better solution, Dan. Their mattresses have the chiropractic seal of approval, according to my research.
How about a Safa and a massage?
Get $200 off your purchase of $1,000 or more at safa.com/200.
That's what happened in Return of the Jedi.
Yes. Right at the end of Return, he's like, Luke, after gender had changed, gone with the Force I will go. Yes, anyway. Oh dear, I'm going to hell. Well, one of the things about the Mando and about the Armoress that I really like was that sense of lore, and it's a different kind of part of Star Wars. And I'm just realizing this now, it really ties in a way to your interest in Renaissance culture also. I mean, have you felt that? I mean, they have that tradition, that sense of armoress and the insignias that you have to get, and there's a very kind of regal sense of knighthood. I think that almost a Japanese kind of samurai culture, I guess, too, is where a lot of it's influenced from. Are you familiar with those movies and stuff that kind of influenced, I guess, Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau in the Mandalorian?
Well, I know that they had all the episodes were a specific tone, which I thought was cool. You had they had more of the Western episodes. You had the heist episode, which was cool.
Yeah.
And I'm blanking on all. And then they had the very different one where they were out doing setting the traps for the AT-AT, which was another very different, cool type of episode.
Oh yeah, Desperate Housewives of Shrimpland Village or whatever it was. Blue Shrimp Village.
Surprisingly, they really made you want to stay there.
Yeah.
It looked really nice, and everyone was really nice, and Baby Yoda had friends,
and you had a daily supply of blue fermented shrimp blood alcohol. So
better or worse than the blue milk?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think the blue milk could intoxicate you.
You never know.
Have you gotten the chance to explore, some of the Disney theme parks at all? I mean, you seem to have a lot of keen interest in Disney and Star Wars properties. Are you keen to go to Galaxy's Edge in the future, or?
Yeah, I think that would be a really, really cool thing to check out. I haven't gone to Disney since I was, since I was a kid. So I'm sure they have a lot of stuff to check out. I've seen some friends that go to Galaxy's Edge and they posted their pictures and it looked really, really, really cool. I had an opportunity to maybe go because I happened to have been in Anaheim last year. And I was like, it's really expensive. I don't want to go for 3 hours because I didn't have much time.
Right.
And I decided not to go because, like, well, it was like $100 to go for 3 hours. I'm like, wow, that's a lot.
And you would feel sad at the end because you would stand in line for one thing that you had to pay $50 for to do anyway at the end of 3 hours, and you'd be like, well, I just paid $150 to do one thing.
Yeah, although I have found myself regretting not going a little bit since COVID hit, because I kept thinking, man, I don't know when I'll get the chance to go again. I'm sure they're going to reopen, of course. But
yeah, I mean, it might be a little bit pared down, and they might have people volunteering there instead of paid workers. They might clone, for example, some people from another country who have no hope and are in desperate need of anything, and use those clones to populate the labor force of Disney. It's very possible.
What you just need to do. This is all the face protection you need right here.
That is a really good helmet. I mean, as a cosplayer, How do you feel politically about Disney's decision to sort of enforce a no costume rule at the park? I mean, it's been my understanding that you can sort of walk the line a little bit and get away with maybe a robe or something, but if you go full on cosplay, they're not even going to let you in. Do you feel discriminated against because of that?
No.
Why not? Why aren't you a victim? Please tell us. What's so special about you that you're not a victim? Everyone else is, damn it.
Oh goodness. So I just haven't I guess I haven't gone to Disney since I was a kid or since I started cosplaying, which is definitely a factor. Two, most of my costumes are not very comfortable to wear for long periods of time. They're just not. If I was to go as the armor, I'm wearing a breastplate that's not particularly light. And then I have usually the helmet's not very breathable. I've got my long gloves that go with it. I've got the pants, and then I have these boot covers as well. I will sweat to death.
Yeah. You don't want to evaporate like a transgender Yoda, as you're drinking your blue milk cocktail at the bar there in Disney Plus.
Well, then someone's gonna be like, "Hey, why are you showing your face? You're a Mando." Well, didn't want to die of dehydration.
Right. Yeah.
This is not the way.
This is not the way. Good. I like it. Cool. All right. Well, is there anything else that you think our fans might like to hear about you? Is there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, what's been on your the last 3 months or so? Been difficult, I think, for everybody because of social distancing and quarantining. But what's been on your mind? What is hot on your mind right now for Star Wars or for cosplay?
For cosplay, probably. I have started scoping out my next competition build, which I think is going to be very cool. So I mentioned that I got to participate in the Crown Championships last year, didn't place or anything, was lucky just to get in. But I saw so much of what everyone else was doing. And then I, obviously followed them all on Instagram, and they're now doing build breakdowns of what they competed in. And I'm seeing them and I'm just like, you did all that. You made that from scratch. And I looked at the thing that I made and it was not remotely as good. So I'm scoping out what my build is going to be for the next one. So I'll probably be announcing it in the next couple of months.
Cool.
On one part, there's a lot of planning you have to put into it. I'm doing some 3D modeling of what the props should look like. I'm doing electrical. I'm actually doing LEDs and incorporating those into the design. So that's going to be the first time I've done that. Also a challenge because then you're hiding power supplies and microcontrollers and everything everywhere.
Right.
And then there's also just the little part of me that's afraid that someone's going to see my idea and then do it better than me. So I'm just kind of keeping that one in for right now.
Well, no one will hear about it if you mention it on the podcast because we're the only people who are going to watch it. But I do respect your desire to keep it secret, so I'm not going to pry any further.
So I should just hi, Mom.
Right. We do have a loyal listenership, but they just happen to be the same people who produce the podcast. In any case, well, that's cool. I look forward to hearing about you. Let us know when you come out with the reveal, as it were. We'd love to get a Faking Star Wars exclusive on that costume. And so I guess that's sort of where you find yourself the next few months is preparing for that. And I'm sure you'll be watching and enjoying The Mandalorian Part 2. If you're curious of coming back on our Mandalorian podcast, podcast we do. It's sort of our sister podcast. Would love to have the Armoress come back and discuss that with myself and Gemma the Hutt, who is a correspondent we have here. But how can fans reach out to you, get your gear, buy your embroidery, find you on Twitter, Facebook, AOL.com, Geospace, whatever?
MySpace. So you can find me on Instagram at Ev Cosplay.
So at Ev Cosplay at
yes.
Instagram?
Yeah, Ev_Cosplay because Ev Cosplay was taken. You can check out my husband. He posts Mando stuff on at Ev Props, and he makes some cool stuff too.
Mm-hmm. Well, he made that gun, right? Well, he was involved in the making of that gun, I guess.
He 3D printed and did all of the difficult parts on that gun. I just got to paint it, which is my fun thing to do.
Cool.
Actually, fun fact, that's why I made the armorer costume, because he was walking around as the Mandalorian all 3 days at C2E2, and the last day I was just hanging out with him because I was really, really tired, and I was Black Widow, and people kept coming up to us being like, can I take a picture of the two of you together? I'm like, I'm Black Widow, he's the Mandalorian, we don't go together.
Right.
So I was just like, I gotta be the armorer now so that we can match. And also, first couple's costume. I think it's really cute.
Oh, that is adorable. So, yeah, I'll have to have Mrs. Duper sign up. Mrs. Duper generally doesn't like to get involved with Star Wars too much because she has to spend 24 hours with the Star Wars character anyway. But I'll try to convince her. And we could be a two couple force to be reckoned with at the next C2E2. So.
Hey, there we go.
Great. All right. Well, is there anything?
You're going to do the slave lay, and she's going to do the Jabba the Hutt.
That's been my fantasy for years now. Yes. I have the metal bikini. I've been trying to slim down a bit. The COVID-19 pizza pandemic has not done me too well on that front, so I'm going to have to shed a few pounds. But I'm getting there. You know, Carrie Fisher would be proud of me, I think. So.
I think Space Mom is always proud of all of us.
Very good. Well, Evie, it has been my absolute pleasure to have you on. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our fans out there in the faking universe?
No. Keep enjoying Star Wars. I think it's awesome. And make anything you ever think, hey, that's cool, I wish I could do that. Just try it. You might be surprised.
And unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Ev Cosplay. It was such a pleasure having her here in the studios in Topeka, Kansas. Maybe she'll be back in the future. You can find us at Faking Star Wars on Twitter and Instagram at Faking Star Wars, or Facebook at facebook.com/realfakingstarwars. And if you want to submit a question for us on Twitter for the next episode, use the hashtag FSWRadio. You can also get official Faking Star Wars t-shirts, mugs, cosplay items at bit.ly/FSWmerch. That's bit.ly/FSWmerch. And go ahead and give me a follow at StormDuper on Twitter. I do follow back. If you like what you hear and you want to support us, you can visit our Patreon at patreon.com/fakingstarwars and sign up to become one of our wonderful, highly esteemed patrons. Not only do you support us fakers financially so that we can keep making the wonderful content that you love, but you'll get a great reward. You can join for as little as $1 a month. Be like Darth Taxis and Keith Harmon, who keep supporting us faithfully at the fake Jedi Knight level. If you haven't written us a review yet, please consider giving us a wonderful 5-star review on iTunes, Podchaser, or any other podcast platform of your choice. It really helps us to appear when people search for Star Wars on their podcast app and get our name out there. If you write a funny review, I guarantee you that I will read it on an upcoming episode. And just one last thing, if you haven't yet, join our FSW Discord server. It's a free online chat room full of fakers discussing Star Wars, other really geeky culture topics, and we even play games together. This is at bit.ly/FSW Discord. Make sure FSW is all in caps. That's bit.ly/FSW all in caps Discord. Please also stay tuned to fakingstarwars.net for quality Star Wars comedy, parody, and satire. And thanks to all of our wonderful followers for staying with us during this time of coronavirus lockdown pandemic. Of course, may the foe be with you, and see you next time.
Thank you to Faking Star Wars Radio for the great episode. Check out the links in the show notes to subscribe. Thanks again for listening to Comedy by Indie Drop-In. If you would like your show featured, reach out to us at Indie Drop-In on all social media or go to indiedropin.com. See you next time.